Thank you for joining us. This is Live with Miami's Community News, and I'm Michael Miller. And today, we're going to be talking about the journey of Diana Bell, a photojournalist who has really made an impact in this community. So, Diana, welcome, first of all. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
I was looking over your resume. You've been quite busy in your 29 years. So congratulations.
Thank you.
On that.
Yeah.
We'll start off that you live in the Doral area.
Yes, correct.
And let's talk about when you moved to Doral. When was that?
That was in 2016, right from Colombia. I came here because my husband got a job offer. So from Bogota to Doral, and that's where I've been since then.
And tell us, how long you've been in the journalism and storytelling business?
Since 2007. I graduated college in 2007 and then started working right away, so 17 years.
So what did you study in school?
Communications and journalism.
Let's go back a little bit farther. So why did you choose that field?
I've always been a journalist by nature. When I was little, my mom used to tell me all the time that I was going to be a journalist. And
how old were you?
I'm 42.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. How old were you when
that happened?
Yes.
So since I was 6 years old, I remember going to the supermarket and asking random people anything. If
you
they
just
were
walk
married.
up to them?
Yes, I was 6'5". My mom always tells this story that I would approach strangers and ask them if they're married or not, how old are they, where do they live, and my mom would be like,
I want one you're having. What do you think, Michelle?
Yeah, she would always be like, shoot, you don't do that. But it was just natural for me to be curious and ask a lot of questions.
I'm going to go over some places, what work you've done. You worked for El Tiempo. Was that here?
El Tiempo. That was in Colombia. In
and then Abanca, which?
Avianca.
The airlines?
Yeah, the airlines.
Then you worked for, you were the director of corporate communications wellness. Where was that?
Yeah, that was for a small company in Bogota.
And then what is Marketing News in Colombia?
That's a magazine. Right now it's Exma. They're also here. They have a big marketing event, but they had that publication. So I was freelancing with them back then. And then I've done a lot of freelancing.
I see that.
A lot of newspapers and
then magazines. You were was that ABC?
ABC in Spanish. It was a parenting magazine. I was also with them. I was with them with El Tiempo, and also after I stopped working
I see
there.
The paper. Okay, so you're there for 4 years. You were almost 4 years
as a freelance, and 2 years as a staff writer as well, because ABC is part of El Tiempo.
Okay, and then My People, what was that?
That was another company, because I went to school. I did a master equivalent in communications. So those two experiences of communication, it was after getting my degree in corporate communications management that they assigned. It was the first experience ever with communications, and they told me that I needed to create basically the communications department and help with that. So it was a way for me to practice what I just learned at school.
And then I see you were a social media manager. Where was that? That
was in My People too, but that was here from remote when I came here. So when I was starting looking for something to do, they told me, okay, well, you land something, why don't you work for us remotely? So I continue working for them in another role, and I did a little bit of social media.
So tell us what you did in the social media world.
It's not my main focus of attention or interest, but what I did for them is they didn't have any kind of communication LinkedIn channel. They didn't have Facebook. So I created the channel, started learning about everything they did, and helped them to increase visibility, to help them with the reputation, branding, a little bit of everything. I've always been jumping into whatever.
Did you teach yourself that?
Well, part of what I knew or what I applied is what I learned at school, but of course I had to teach myself a lot of things by reading books and talking to people that were already in the business. Like, kind of, that's how I've approached every experience that I've had, just kind of self-learning, a lot of self-learning.
And so I see you were a web journalist. Describe what that means.
So I work here and also in Colombia, but more here because when I started working, web journalism was not so common, at least not in my country. But here I did in Mundo Hispánico, which is a magazine, a newspaper for the Latino community here. I did that remotely too. And I also did Ser Padres as a freelance journalist too. And I had to find news, put it online, upload them about celebrity parenting. That experience with Ser Padres was really satisfying because I'm a parent myself, so I was just portraying the experience.
So Diana, you would write it and you'd post it on the website, or would somebody else post it?
No, I would do it myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said you were around 6 and you do that in the grocery stores, but it sounds like it was already there by the age of 6 that you wanting to do it. When did you first go, hey, I think I like, even if you didn't put a name on it, how old were you?
My dad had a lot to do with that because he was a very active radio consumer. So for me, Sundays were about turning on the radio, listening to news, and also the El Espectador was a newspaper, the first newspapers that I started reading, not El Tiempo, but El Espectador was the direct competition of El Tiempo.
Those papers used to be here also, or those names were. I
El
don't know
Espectador?
Yeah, I remember that a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it was connected, but the name certainly was there.
Yeah, they're huge brands in Colombia. So I started reading those things, but more like the comics, the comic section. And my dad used to interest me in those, like the news. And he used to tell me, explain to me whatever he was listening on the radio and reading. And for me, it became a really, like knowing what was going on in the words of my dad was something that really captivated me. And that's where I knew, I didn't know because I was very little, but I thought that doing that was something that I wanted to do. I didn't know, I didn't put words into it, but I kind of, focus on that. Like my mentality changed from then on. I do believe in the power of and the law of attraction. I believe in that fiercely. And I think that and also my mom telling me, you're going to be a journalist, you're going to be a journalist. It was like there was no other way for me to go.
That's the only way out of here.
Yes.
You do it or else.
That's
so
exactly right.
Tell us about where you've been working recently.
In Doral Family Journal.
Yes, okay.
So I've been with them since 2018. It's a community newspaper where I've done everything from health, education, a little bit of politics. I've gone to a lot of community events, pretty much being updated with whatever is happening in the Doral area, which is it's a very opinionated community. Like people, a lot of people have a lot to say in Doral and get involved.
That's because of the population that's there. They're very involved, all right? Yes. And certainly one of the more passionate groups of people in Miami-Dade County.
I would say
it sort of it took over. It surpassed everybody, and there were so many different factions out there. A lot of Venezuelan, Nicaraguans, and there were some other groups from South America. What other type of groups are out there?
I've seen Mexicans. I've seen a little bit of Argentinians, not so much. But I think there's a sense of pride in Doral because it's a new city, so to speak, in comparison with other Miami-Dade cities, municipalities. So they do feel like these need to protect their community.
Diana, there's no questions. If it's not the best city in Dade County, sorry guys, all right? It's certainly in the top couple. There's no question. It was well thought out, great administration, great elected officials, a lot of thought went in there. And when you drive up there and you go, look at this is wonderful. It would be like, like a new development in North Broward County, like everything that we learned here in the rest of Miami-Dade County. Doral took it to heart and said, we want bigger roads, more attractive things. There are lots of parks up there. They're donating, spending a lot of time, energy, and money in some parks. I know they just opened up some new ones there. You have, of course, you have the big country clubs that are up there. Yeah. You have from the largest business to the smallest. I think every bank that has a branch anywhere is there,
yeah, that's
right?
Correct. And that wasn't like that before. When I first arrived in 2016, it wasn't like that at all. So I've seen the city grow in front of my eyes. That's been pretty amazing.
We used to, years ago, we would say, people say, where's Doral? I said, well, get off the Expressway 36, go straight, and you'll see this place. It's called Ryder Truck System. It's a building right there. I said, there. And Her Bets is off to the right, all right? And that's many, many years ago. And so it's really come to fruition, and it's terrific. And one of the great things that happened, one of the former mayor, J.C. Bermudez, served the city with the distinction for many years. He's now a county commissioner, which says, and in that area. And so he's really helped whoever wanted to help to move it along and be able to look to this bigger picture. So you're at a paper, it comes out twice a month, a terrific family. I met the publisher, Pronounce his name again.
Ettore Sabatella and Sandra Sabatella.
Yes, it was great. He was over here, and we had a great interview. He didn't speak much English, and I didn't speak much Spanish, so it was terrific. All right, we communicated in lots of different ways. So, what is it you're going to be doing with yourself in the next couple of years? What do you see yourself doing?
I feel like I can never stay in the same place. I like moving around and doing different things. Challenging myself for me is very important for my mental health, and also because I'm a very curious soul. So I see myself doing a master's degree here in the States. I would love to go to FIU to study English. That's one of my goals. And also continue working with the things that I believe in, the stories, giving voice to other people.
So why would you want to to study English? What's causing that in your brain to even think that?
Because I want to learn more about the different aspects of writing. I've been very much framed into journalism, so there's a lot of ramifications that I could do: technical writing, grant writing, and I feel like I'm lacking that knowledge. And also, I want to go deep into writing in English because I want to get better at that. Of course, I'm bilingual, but it's been a whole entire process of learning writing in English. It hasn't been easy at all. And right now I'm studying an NYU certificate in proofreading and copy editing, which is something that I'm very interested in.
So where'd you get this drive from?
Where did I get this drive?
Your motivation that's very strong with you.
I think my parents, like I've always seen my mom working as a bee, and my dad. I don't know if it's the Colombian culture, because it's also part of the Colombian culture, like this hardworking mentality. We have Colombians in general this attitude of doing whatever it is to survive, to thrive. But my parents in particular, I think they instilled that in me, like always giving your best, always working, not stopping, and that curiosity to just engage and learn and absorb whatever I can from the world.
And how old are your children?
I have an 11-year-old boy.
Do you suppose he's looking at you and going, "Look at my mother, my goodness, she doesn't stop." Tell us about that relationship and how you think you've impacted him.
I think he thinks I'm crazy a little bit, because he's always calling me in Spanish, mi mamá loca. My mom is crazy because I'm doing a lot. I have a lot of ideas, and I change my mind about something, or I'm obsessed about these, and then I'm obsessed about these other things, and I'm always running around. And he's kind of like that too. Like, he's now interested, for example, in history and geography, and then he's going to move to robotics or math. And I always instilled in him the love for not only learning, but reading books. I used to read books when he was 3 months old, and my husband used to look at me like I was crazy. Like, he's 3 months old, he's not going to understand. But I would just read to him, because I thought if he heard my voice, he would start, like, words would get familiar for him. And he started speaking really early, so earlier than most kids. So that's what I've been doing, always teaching him to just learn whatever. You don't have to go to school to learn things right now. You have social media, but you also have books.
And speaking of education, there's so many colleges and universities in Doral. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, you have Miami-Dade College, pretty big campus out there, and then a lot of other schools.
Atlantic,
lots of them. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of them have certificate programs that you can go, and you can, even if you're 12 years old, all right, you go and see what that would be like. So that's terrific, all right, that he's already got the bug. You're not escaping. So that's great. So tell us, when you write, and you're trying to tell a story, what are some of the things you do to try to capture the moment so the person that's reading it is inside the story, not just putting these couple words together?
I always, and I've talked about this with my husband and with my friends, I always try to put myself in the reader's shoes, not just like the journalist who's trying to tell a story, but more like, why would I want to know? What do I want to know about this if I was the reader? And I think that it seems very simple, but I think that's key. Just to the way I distribute information is thinking what the reader wants to know. And also clarity is very important, because sometimes you read articles and those are articles made for people that maybe has some kind of knowledge on the matter or the topic. But I always write thinking that that person who's reading has no idea what I'm talking about, so he needs to really understand what I'm talking about.
And to be able to take him from the beginning and get him into that. So we know with AI, lots of times you can ask it to write something for you and say, make this on an 8th grade level, and then say, put it on a 12th grade level, put it on a college 4-year degree level, put it on a PhD level. Then we know that if we write on a PhD level, which I'm not capable of doing, but if we write like that, we're going to lose almost everybody.
Yeah, that's correct. I agree.
And you read the Wall Street Journal and read the New York Times and see the difference in that versus a local papers, wherever you are in a daily paper, because the average person is going to look at it and within the first paragraph, they're going to go away.
Exactly.
So you're able, you believe, to be able to capture that and to take them along your journey. When you're writing it, those stories, something that's really deep, how do you check yourself and then go, can somebody understand it? What is it you do in your process with that?
Of course, I always say that objectivity in journalism, it's an illusion, because the person who's writing has an opinion on what you're writing. So, and it's inevitable. Like, you have that. I was taught at school, at college, that no, you need to be impartial. But that's not true, because you have feelings for the subject. So I always reread myself, re-edit myself over and over to see if what I'm saying is unbiased, and if I'm providing information for everyone and not just one type of reader.
And so one of the things we do know, if you and I go to an event and the event is for an hour, we are not going to be writing about the same thing.
Exactly.
Because it's not, maybe this doesn't attract me, maybe this is over here. And what happens is we sometimes we'll test our writers, all right? We'll send 2 writers and I'm going to go. And I'm going, I was there. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that, but it was there. And so we're attracted to each one of those things, and that's where we tend to write about.
Yeah, and that's the magic of journalism. It allows you to open doors to your own self that you didn't know there were. Like, you get to know yourself a lot through journalism. I think that.
So we put on a lot of events, local business people, healthcare professionals, business leaders, and a lot of politicians. We make sure that we have Republicans and Democrats. We always make sure, because wherever I am, that's not what's important. What's important is that we can bring something to the table and have that. So we are acutely aware of that, and it's important for all of us. So when somebody says to you about a story about a business in Doral, that if they go, well, I didn't see that over there. Well, but you saw it, all right? And you knew that, and you can feel that. When you do feature stories, because that's a lot of what you do, speak to local businesses, do you usually go out to see them, or you do it on the phone, or is it by email? How does that take place?
It depends. I personally, and that's more Diana, I don't like email interviews. I hate them, because you can never reply. Like, if somebody makes a reply, an answer, and the answer is lacking or it doesn't have enough depth, how can you ask back?
Yes.
I hate email interviews. I'm always trying to go Zoom or in person, not so much, or phone, but never email.
Yeah, it lacks that. And if we can't communicate, how are we going to put in some enthusiasm into the story that somebody else is going to look at it? And even if we looked at it in texting, it's even worse. And then for people that like to write, texting is frustrating, because it's impossible to catch the people's eyes and their face and their enthusiasm. And did they hesitate about that, or were they very aggressive? Were they animated? Were they happy? Were they sad? Did they drift away?
The nonverbal language.
Yes. So you must do that, obviously, all the time when you're meeting with people. And how do you handle if you're sitting there with somebody and you realize they're very distracted? They're playing with their phone, and the people are walking around in the store, and you know they're not listening. How do you bring them back to the table so you can ask them? And this is for let's say it's a business feature, so it's about them. It's going to theoretically help them. How do you draw them back to you?
That happens a lot. Sometimes people get distracted. I just try to break the ice with anything that I see from the person in the moment that gets my attention, that I know it's going to get their attention. So it depends. But if somebody makes a comment, or I just start finding things in my brain about what they said initially in the conversation. And oh, so you told me that you like this or that, or that you sold this or that, and I take it from there. Yeah, it's very much in the moment, whatever I see happening.
So you have, right now, you have at least 20 years experience, maybe
17.
More. 17.
Yes.
Amazing. All right. And you do a great job. All right.
Thank you.
And I'm very happy for you. You live in Doral, you write stories about your community. And when you go out to see these people, do you feel a connection with the community because of that?
In Doral?
Yes.
Yes, definitely, because I know where they're coming from. Talking to people is very important to really know. That's why I don't believe in email interviews. I have to talk to people and see their sentiments and how they feel about living in Doral, what they wish, how they've been growing up as a community. When I go, for example, with the Miami-Dade West Campus events, people are so passionate into sharing their life experiences and to passing on the lessons they've learned. They have a lot of events. Doral Family Journal has a lot of events with community leaders and entrepreneurs. And I love that part. And also on a personal level as well, because I always get something for myself about I've learned a lot about going to those events and talking to people and knowing where they're coming from and what they think.
So when you do that, do you ever remember if there was ever a time that you were shy and that you might not have done that?
That I was shy?
Yeah, were you ever shy?
Yes, all the time. I'm shy. Yeah, I'm shy. I try to...
Rochelle, are you listening?
I am.
She says she's shy.
I'm shy. I try to be as authentic and as spontaneous as I can be, because I am me and I have to be me. I can't be nobody else, but I'm shy. Yeah.
So when you go to those events,
yes,
that's put on by the newspaper, you go there and you socialize with those people.
Yes, I have to.
Of course.
I'm a journalist.
So even though in the back of your head you think you're shy, your actions, all right, don't speak that.
No.
All right. Maybe inside, this is really hard for me to go do that, but I like what I get from it. I like what I'd be able to give from that.
I get nervous. I start drinking a lot of coffee, and that activates me. Or water. And
I'm nervous, so I drink more coffee. Yes. Yes.
If I'm hype, I know I'm gonna start talking, and then sometimes I'm so nervous that I start rambling, and I have to stop myself and say, okay, slow down, listen to the other person, and I do that. I talk to myself all the time.
So therapy worked for you, I guess.
Sorry?
Therapy worked for you as far as being able to talk to yourself and be able to get through those rough spots and be able to say, I know it's uncomfortable, but I like doing it. I'm just uncomfortable doing this thing.
Yeah.
Right? And I know Rochelle's going to find it hard to believe, but I was like that also. Years ago, when we first started doing this, a guy would chase me with a camera around the office. Come on, Michael, sit down. I said, tomorrow. He said, tomorrow's Saturday, Michael. I don't work on Monday or Tuesday.
Out of shyness?
Out of shyness, yes. And so these type of things are great for the soul.
Yes.
And then when you become comfortable, the people around you become comfortable, and your son and your family looks at you and say, isn't it terrific that Diana is doing this stuff? She does it with such ease. If they only knew, right?
And also the language. For me, it's been about the language, because I was very insecure about talking in English when I first arrived here. So that adds a layer of anxiety, because it's not the same speaking Spanish, because it's my first language. So when I first started interviewing people in English, it was really hard for me I would get so nervous and like so much into thinking if I was doing it right that I would get nervous.
So were you nervous because you didn't think you could interpret it correctly, or nervous what they might be thinking about you?
That one. Yeah, I was too much in my head thinking, what are they thinking about me? Are they saying, oh, her English is horrible, or her accent, and all those things were in my head when I was interviewing people. And that was really, I still struggle with that sometimes.
Okay, we have 2 minutes left, so get ready. I'm going to ask you a question. All right?
Okay.
But this is Miami. And we love people when they go back and forth from English to Spanish. And we have a couple guys that come on. They are quintessent Miami, Florida. These guys come on. They are great. I don't care what language it is, but they're going back and forth and they're having a wonderful time. So as far as this communication, it's perfect. All right. And so I know that you're a perfectionist and that you want to be better. My hat's off to you for driving that train and being a great example for yourself and that drive, and of course for your family, and all the little kids are looking at you. I know there have been people along your journey that have helped you.
Mm-hmm.
And some people might call them mentors, or they're just folks that have helped you. I'd like you to think about a couple of them, right?
Professionally and personally?
Whatever you want. Now, in a minute, I'm going to ask you to look at the blue camera. She's going to cue you up, all right?
Okay.
And I'd like you to thank them and what it meant to you.
Thank them?
Thank them, all right? And what it meant to you that they helped you, whether they're here, alive, or whether they passed. You ready?
Okay.
All right, you're going to look right in this, right, there you go. You're on, baby. It's all you, Diana Bello.
So,
speaking from the heart.
So Sandra Sabatella here in the States, in Miami-Dade, of course, she's been a mentor. When I started working with her, I didn't know much about community journalism or Miami in general. So yes, her, and I want to thank her for her support, her love in everything she does, and she has instilled that in me. And also my dad, I have to say my dad, because I wouldn't be a journalist if it wasn't for him. So his support and he has always believed in me, and that helped me believe in me. That sounds like a cliche, but it's the truth. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Diana Bello, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your story. Well, I'm sure we'll see each other soon. Again, thanks for joining us, folks. Remember, take care of yourselves.